something called Where Did We Sit on the Bus? Question mark, being shown right now at Victory Gardens, also known as the Bar Graph Theater, directed by Che Yu. I want to welcome also our cohort and intern, Miss Morgan Lonergan, who did see the play yesterday. Did you not?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Speak into that microphone with a loud, booming voice.
Right, babe. And I'm so glad that you and Lynn, also of our production team, were able to see your work, Brian. So let me start. Let me let you, Morgan, ask him questions, ask Brian questions about what you saw from your experience.
Hi.
Hi.
I got to meet you yesterday after your show. So I just wanted to know, every artist has their own way of telling their story. It's very unique. So what made you want to go into doing this sort of like beatboxing, rap type form in your show?
Yeah, I was kind of, I remember I was in New York and I had been going from audition to audition and I hadn't been booking anything. And it had occurred to me that I kind of needed to start for my own sanity putting something together, and it just so happened that I'd been compiling these kind of poems, spoken word poems and rap songs I'd written over the years into this compilation piece, and I was just like, there's nobody who is going to write a beatboxing, rapping, dancing play for me, so I'm gonna do it, yeah, it turned out to be this show, and it kind of has a little bit of everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know at the time? Were you aware of the Hamilton? Was the phenomenon alert at that time?
No, it wasn't. I mean,
interesting.
Yeah,
because you were doing the same darn
thing.
Yeah,
I know. But I mean, I'd seen In the Heights, but it was In the Heights had been the whole Lin-Manuel train was already rolling, but I feel like Hamilton really for the hip hop theater genre. I don't know if that's even a thing.
Yeah,
it is.
It is now.
It is now. Was
broken
just I mean, the hip hop theater has been around for a long time, but kind of I think Lin has brought it to a total. It's household now. It's everybody knows, and it's also the hottest show on Broadway. So it's it's at the forefront of the American theater, which is great.
Yeah. Morgan, what did you learn when you watched this show yesterday? What was new to you and eye-opening?
Oh, well, clearly you were talking about your own life, sort of discussing literally from your birth up to just about now where you completed the show. But there were also some themes in there which alluded to immigration and your experience as a Latinx person living in a more suburban area, experiences with systematic racism, etc. So what I want to know is what is your opinion or stance on how things are going with immigration, considering your parents and being first generation?
What's really interesting about this is that this play is was written a long time ago. I mean, not a long time. I mean, 4 years ago, I would say.
I love that.
Put together
long
4 years ago.
Ancient.
I mean, that's pretty. I mean, in the kind of development of it, it's been a long time since it was kind of put together to now when it's been now it's on its fourth production. What's really interesting is that and I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's gotten more relevant. It seems since the election,
absolutely.
And it's just, and maybe that's it's it's an offense between that's really sad, but also great. The play is more relevant now, and people are paying attention again, and that seems to happen with immigration every 8 years when we elect a new president. It pops up again. These issues of immigration. I never meant to. When I wrote this play, I never sought out to be I'm gonna attack this immigration issue. It's more of an unavoidable piece. It's an unavoidable piece of our lives that of my life because my parents are immigrants. That has to be in the show, has to be addressed, and as I've done it kind of in the past year, I've felt a visceral kind of reaction from different people all over the country.
Brian Quijada, how did you start with music?
I started in college. There was we had a basement band. We were bad, but
As in bad, or is it so bad? Which bad are we talking?
No, as in not good. Our guitarist had this looper, you know, one of those like single one pedal hooks into his guitar. And I remember one day I just went down into the basement. I was by myself, and I unplugged the guitar and I plugged in a microphone, and I just started, you know, like laying down a beatbox and then layering it by myself. I just started covering songs.
Can you give us 30 seconds of that right now?
I don't have yeah. So basically, looping is this layered music. So I would lay a beatbox. It would go. Right, and then that would record that little eight, yeah, and then that would go, and then I would add another, yeah, exactly, and then I got, right, and then it would go, and then you keep layering on top until you have this kind of built soundscape or 8 bars of whatever it is that you're covering, and that was the first time that I kind of started realizing that I could do this alone. And a couple years later, I saw Reggie Watts, who is the band leader for the Late Show with James Corden, and right when he was blowing up, he did a radio interview, and he did the entire thing. He did an entire looping song on his phone.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
And I was just blown away by it, because loop pedals are like, you know, a cheap one is like $600-700, and I'm like, I'm done with looping. I'm not gonna buy one of those. And then I buy an app that's $4.99, and it blew open the world. Technology is amazing. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. So that's kind of how I just started getting into it. Accessibility really is what started it up for me.
So I kind of want to go back to talking about being a Latinx person, first generation and everything. So in your play, and also in the Q&A session afterwards, you mentioned that in El Salvador, being an artist, being an actor, being a musician, etc., isn't as much of a career as it is just a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, through your music, through your art, how do you hope to inspire maybe other young Latinx like artists or people from El Salvador? Sure.
I think the main thing is that it's kind of an unbelievable. It doesn't seem like a job, you know what I mean? At least to my parents. I feel like me and my brother. My brother's an actor too. My parents had 4 children, 2 of which were born in El Salvador, and 2 of which were born in America. And our names, in chronological order, are Fernando, Roberto, Marvin, and Brian. And the
Hey, Gringo Brian.
Is this what we call assimilation?
Exactly. And you know, to my parents, my 2 oldest brothers, the ones that were born in El Salvador, they're very successful business owners. My nephew just recently got a convertible BMW. What a different mentality they have of, you know, making it in America. But they're very successful and they're great. And my brother and I are both actors. And that idea of us being artists and making our lives out of art we're the first artists that my parents have ever met. And that's
and they created it.
Yeah, and that's crazy. So this idea that you can survive off of art is super foreign to them, because I was just talking to my father just a couple days ago. he's just like, nobody does that in El Salvador. If you're not working with your hands, you're not working. You're not making any money. And even the small amount of money that you do make when you are doing that is minuscule. You can't survive off of it, which is why they came to the United States. And so it is really inspiring to me doing these these performances for schools. We do Victory Gardens. For every ticket that's bought, donates a ticket to a Chicago Public High School student, which is an amazing initiative.
Nice.
It's
Excellent.
a really great initiative. I perform at 10 a.m. for kids, which is a feat.
Including Morgan.
Yes. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how I wake up.
Thank you for explaining that.
So it's really great, I think, to have these students see somebody who looks like them on stage, and I think see an artist, because they might not have ever met one. Somebody who's totally involved in the art world and the theater world and doing it.
So do you have any plans for any new plays or productions that you might be doing later on?
Oh yeah.
Could you give us a little hint into
Yeah, there's two plays that are currently in development. One is a play that's getting developed in Poughkeepsie at Vassar College in New York Stage and Film's Powerhouse Festival in New York. It's a hip hop kind of American adaptation of Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper. I'm working on it with my brother, and it's our first. We've both been actors for a good amount of time, and it's our first collaboration together. So we leave for Poughkeepsie in about 4 weeks. I also work with Texas Tech University. They have something called the Wildwood Performance Lab, and I went there 2 years ago to work on this Mark Twain adaptation, and I'm going back in 3 weeks to go write a brand new play. So it's good. Yeah, there's a lot of things in the basket, a lot of things in the works.
Well, Brian and Morgan, thank you for your questions. Brian, we want to go out with HOPE, Hope. Is
yeah.
that okay?
Of course.
You want to say anything about this piece of music that we're going to...
This is just a piece that's in the play. It comes later on in the play when I decide this is the poem that I do in college that decides that I'm going to stick with pursuing art as my passion.
Bless your heart, Brian
Yeah.
Quijada.
Thank you.
Everyone should go to Victory Gardens to see the play Where Did We Sit on the Bus, written and performed by Brian Quijada, our guest, and directed by Che Hu. And wow,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thanks
Here
for
we
having
go.
me.